the wrong intro again. I can't believe I did that. I'm going to hit the right intro right now because that's the 2 shows in a row. So everyone watching live, this is not fun football. I caught what I did right when I did it. We're doing the right intro.
I mean, if you want, I'll go ahead and throw mine up there too. I mean, let's go ahead and get the trifecta here.
You guys don't want back though.
Hey, at least I busted myself before you said anything. I was like, wait, I just did it again.
Well, you saw my jaw just drop like you just did it again.
Did you hear me, bud?
Cowboy Regg,
Cowboy, what's
you're
up?
here. Thanks, man. Thanks for joining.
Ben, I think I had the best response to that. No one wants to hear the Ohanas.
I was just too excited to get the video right.
My headphones are jacked up, so give me a second. I'm going to try to fix them.
No worries, man. That was hilarious. Let's go 3 for 3 next week. Let's do it with the big mock draft. You're going to fix the video and be all excited.
Oh, the video's
I got this new video.
I just got to send it to you. Because I already told you. So one of the things I told Isaac before I sent the video, I was like, you know what? I had an idea what was going to happen. So I actually just left it on a separate screen. And when I saw it all unravel, I went ahead and just deleted the one page that had Ohana on it. So you already got it. I just need to send it.
That's fantastic.
All right. Well, Cowboy, you missed. I played the wrong intro video and then I fixed it before you hopped on. So we've had a highly entertaining first 2 minutes. Thanks.
Well, sorry I missed that.
Yeah. Back it up,
Hey,
Binge.
what's up, JB?
Thanks for watching, JB. We miss you, dude. He's been emailing me. We're gonna hopefully hook up this summer. Yes. All right, bud. How was your last show? Did you have fun?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, I had a great time. I just got off the air with Brian. Well, he's recording. He wasn't live, but Brian is getting his pod up and running, and he's doing a good job. Nice guy. We talked a little Packers, Cowboys, talked a little history, talked a little Jordan Love, talked a little Brett Favre, a little Aaron Rodgers. So, hey, I'm ready to roll, man, and my mind's already got cheese in it, so I'm ready to roll.
Real quick, Bears fan too. If you can, Reg.
Yeah, we talked some Bears too. It wasn't good, but we did talk some Bears.
It wasn't good. Well, I'm used to that. Can you tilt your head to the left real quick? I noticed the jersey in the back.
Yes, sir.
Okay, oh, there you go.
Autograph
I like my
jersey.
throwbacks.
Yeah, I got a funny story. If you guys got a second, I got a funny story about that jersey. And I live on Hilton Head Island down in South Carolina, and one of my favorite sports bars had this jersey hanging in it. And I told my daughter, man, I'd love to have that jersey. Well, that bar changed hands, and they changed ownership, and they went a different direction. So they were no longer a sports bar, and she snuck in there without me knowing, and she bought that jersey from the owner. And then Christmas morning, I opened up this huge package, and here's this Troy Aikman jersey, and it's still in the same mountain, frame that it was in the sports bar, which is kind of funny because I used to go in there. So now I got it.
So to capitalize on what you just said, I live in Bluffton.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So this jersey, are you familiar with Hilton Head bars?
Oh, of course.
This was it used to be, it's a bar next to Callahan's. Callahan's is, and there was another sports bar right there. Man, this has been 5 or 6 years. Like, shoot, I forgot the name of the bar, but
I'm from here, but I know which bar you're talking about.
Yeah, they had a big round bar in the middle of. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And they had memorabilia all over the wall. It wasn't a Cowboys bar, but they had, all kinds of memorabilia over the wall. And I always commented to her, man, I'd like to have that jersey. And now I got it.
Oh, dude, I understand that. That's cool. Even cooler that I know that you're like 30 minutes away too. Crazy.
Yeah. And one of my daughters, not the one that got me the jersey, but she lives in Bluffton as well. So I'm over there all the time, man.
Well, so am I.
Yeah, I hope so.
And I've never been to that. I haven't been to that side of the country in like almost over 20 years. I'm gonna have to make it back out eventually and meet Med though, and you, man. I told Med, I was like, eventually we're gonna have to do a show in person one day. That'd be a lot of fun. So
well, before I commit to that, Isaac, let's see how today goes.
And JB's just he's the best. He's one of my favorite people too. Hilton Head's the best.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
There was a Packers bar here, but they also went a different direction. It's now Oyster Bar, but there was a official Green Bay Packers bar right here on the island, and no longer. But that the first 5 years I was here, it was there. It was pretty cool. Did you ever get over to that from Bluffton, or have you? How long have you been
Packers
here?
Bar.
Yeah, it was.
I go to Hinchey's if anything.
Hinchey's is Chicago / Notre Dame, Chicago Cubs, Bulls, Cubs, Bears, Irish. I watched the Cubs win the World Series in Hinchey's, and that was a wild scene. Scene. The owner went up and he just filled the top of the bar up with free shots, Everybody take a shot. So 6 shots later, I said, "Thanks for the shot."
What's funny is while I've never liked, I've never really hated the Bears like that much. Like I'm a Packers fan. Growing up in the 90s, I just absolutely fell in love with Michael Jordan. So my dad turned me on to Brett Favre. And it's funny, I wasn't a Lions fan, but watching Barry Sanders as a kid was Barry
Sanders.
Yeah. It wasn't quite on the level of watching Michael Jordan, but you knew you were watching something that you weren't ever going to see again. Yeah. Even as a kid. And he had a lot of big games against the Packers too. But one of my first memories, I remember crying. I was born in 88, so I was like, I think the first one was when I was like 5, but I remember we lost the Cowboys 3 times in a row before that we broke through. And oh man, I remember just being so upset. I was like, I'm so tired of these stinking Cowboys because we couldn't get by y'all. And finally,
we were just talking about that, Brian and I, about how I'm a Brett Favre fan. You asked me what my favorite quarterback is. I told him it was Bart Starr, but Brett Favre is a close second. It's a shame he only got 1 Super Bowl, but he only got 1 Super Bowl because his prime happened to be the Cowboys' prime. Those 90s when they had Aikman and Emmett and Michael Irvin, and the defense was incredible, and Dion and all that. The Packers were right there. They were right there, but just not quite good enough as them, and they walk away with only 1 Super Bowl in that era. But that's how it goes. We see that, Dan Marino and those guys. It's like, hey, at least Brett got 1.
Same thing with Rodgers too, which is kind of crazy.
Just 1. And then after next year, Jordan Love he'll have 1 too. So there you go. He'll be right up there with the greats.
If that happens, and everyone's going to lose their minds. It's going to be. I do think it's going to happen sooner or later because they went out. They did the same recipe. When we had Favre, they went out and got Reggie White, which was one of my favorite defensive players of all time. But my favorite actually for the Packers was when we signed Charles Woodson, and we lined him up with Rodgers. You got a Hall of Fame defensive player, Hall of Fame quarterback, and now they're trying that recipe again with getting Xavier McKinney, which was a really good signing. So I'm curious how it's going to work out.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are set. I mean, but this is why we play the games. You got injuries, and you got, coaching and all that goes into it. So things are looking good in the preseason, but that's not where we win those championships. So you guys stay healthy and you keep doing what you're doing. I think you're going to be in the mix for sure. I know you don't want to hear that when you're cheering for the Bears. I'm sorry. I know you don't want to hear that, but
Bears are an interesting spot. Janae's asking how you're doing, Med. She's here, and Justin's here. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for watching, Janae. Okay, so I think we should go around and ask questions because I've got a lot. I live right south of Dallas, and
God's country.
I work with millions of fans, and it's interesting. Like the guy I share a room with, I'm a teacher. And I've talked more Cowboys with that guy at work than I've ever talked with anybody before. I actually felt bad after the playoff, just because I was expecting at best for it to be a really like good game, and the way it went down was just kind of crazy. But what are your expectations for this season right now, where y'all are at after this offseason?
12-5.
Yeah.
I mean, they're pretty
They got
steady.
12 and,
You
that
guys
was a
have
joke.
12
That
and
was a
5
joke.
every year.
They 12-5 3 years in a row. So let's go for 4, right? I mean, I mean, you know, you can listen to social media and you can listen to Stephen A. Smith, but the reality is your quarterback's back, Dak Prescott. CD Lamb's back. Micah Parsons is back. Trevon Diggs was hurt all last year. He's back. Deron Bland, who just set the record, all-time pick 6 record in 1 year, is back. DeMarcus Lawrence, their pass rusher on the line, is back. You know, yeah, they haven't made any moves in free agency, which is disappointing. And I'll be the first one to tell you I'm disappointed. But there's no panic button over here because you haven't lost anybody that was a significant contributor except for Tony Pollard. And Tony Pollard had a 4.1 yards per carry and 1,004 yards. See you later. We could put a rookie that can do that.
Mhm.
I mean, that's just not enough production in 17 games. So there's no panic over here. I say 12-5 jokingly, but I think 12-5 is a jinx. So let's go 11-6 so they do better in the playoffs.
The only thing that really concerned me was the offensive. Like Van Der Esch was always hurt.
Yeah.
Gilmore was steady for y'all, but you guys do have Diggs coming back, so I can see that.
Yep.
The offensive
And
line,
Gilmore's not. I mean, he's not gone yet.
He's not. You're right.
He's not gone. And every day that goes by that he doesn't get signed is more likely that he'll take whatever they're offering him, which we don't know what it is. But I wouldn't be shocked if Gilly comes back.
That'd be big for y'all. You guys, if you could play nickel corner, if either of those other guys miss time, that's huge to have that.
Yeah,
that's the Packers. They need to get another one. It's
huge. We picked up Eric Kendricks, their linebacker from the Chargers, a Pro Bowler. He's a little long in the tooth, but you know he's in his early 30s, and he had a really good year last year. So they did go out and replace Van Der Esch. So really, I mean, for me, once they fill that void in the running game and they draft a stud offensive tackle in the first round, right before the Packers pick to make sure they don't get one at 24, they'll get that lineman, they'll get that running back, and we'll be right back where we were last year, losing in the playoffs. Can't wait.
So because you brought up the playoffs and everything, as far as Mike McCarthy goes, would he be gone if he doesn't get past the divisional round?
He should be. I understand he's in talks with his old friends at Green Bay right now, and we're trying to get him.
I don't think so.
Get him. I mean, you got a street named after him. You got a street named after him. You got to keep him. I'm sorry, he's yours. We don't. There's no Mark.
What?
There's no Mike McCarthy Avenue in Dallas, right, Isaac? Have you seen Mike McCarthy Avenue in Dallas?
No. And I was just up in Green Bay and I saw it and I was like, I mean, wow.
I joke.
I
think he's a great dude. I think players love him. I joke about him. But you know, he knows how to put together a winning program, but the in-game coaching is where he lacks. But man, I mean, they won, if you count the playoffs, they've won 37 games in 3 years. I believe they're second to the Chiefs. Maybe I got it wrong by one position, but they win a lot of games with Mike McCarthy. He puts together game plans. He puts together off-season training. He's very organized. But in the game, you know, it's like, do I throw the challenge flag or do I not, or do it? And then the next play is going, and you're like, Mike, what are you doing, man? Come on.
The indecisions.
Yeah. He just doesn't pull the trigger quick enough. And you know, I don't think that you could fire a guy for being 12-5 though, right? I mean, so I understand why he's still there, but like Dak, this is the last year. I mean, this is it. This is the last dance. So get it done, or neither one of them will be on the field or the sideline for the Cowboys next year. I can assure you that.
It's funny because I saw the same thing in Green Bay, where he gets you a lot of regular season wins, but the preparation that the Chiefs had that was the difference. I argued this with Vegas, and I should have pushed it even more. The Chiefs won the Super Bowl because of, Patrick Mahomes was the biggest reason, but I don't think they win this Super Bowl if it wasn't for Spagnuolo and Andy Reid. The game, all the little things within the game, you can have a great script for the first quarter. I haven't coached much football. I did a little bit a few years, like several years ago, with kids, but I played a lot of football, and just the problem is it's all that stuff within the game. And that was where I was shocked Dan Quinn got a head coaching job so fast, because they didn't look ready for that Green Bay game. And I saw it right away. And the further it went on, you were like, they're not ready for this game. And it happened against Buffalo, and it happened against San Fran. And I kind of would think you're going to have a letdown game or two a year, but against Arizona too. And it sucks because I'm watching, I'm going to be honest, I don't really wish a lot against, I got tired of Tom Brady winning all the time, but unless you're playing my team, I'm not usually the type of fan that's going to do that, except, I hear a lot of Cowboy fans, so it's annoying. But he just doesn't have that in-game preparation down.
No.
And that's
you're right. 100%. And Dan Quinn ended up taking the fall, but deservedly so. Dak threw a pick six, so 42 of your points were scored on the defense. Now, you tell me a team in history that's won a playoff game where the other team has scored 42 points.
Exactly.
It's Dan. It was Dan. And here's what Dan Quinn did. If you listen to the Micah Parsons podcast, he had Jordan Love, which is crazy. They're all buddies. A week after the game, he's on the show, and you're like, "Hey man, what happened?" And he said, "You guys had safeties playing linebacker. You played zone, and I just threw the ball to the open guy. So that's Dan. That's a shot at Dan Quinn right there. And here's the thing that this is my son, who I do a podcast with. He says, "You get your tinfoil hat out again, Dad." All right, I got my tinfoil hat on. Gilmore was hurt. Gilmore got hurt in the Washington game, week 17. Mike McCarthy, why was he on the field? They were up by 20-something points, and Gilmore tweaked the knee or something. He limps off the field, never comes back in the game. So why are you playing zone in the playoffs when you've been playing bump and run all year? You got all these pick sixes coming from Dallas because they're playing man-to-man. And then in the playoff game against Green Bay, they play zone. So my theory, my tinfoil hat theory, is that Gilmore was hurt and Quinn tried to cover it up by playing a zone. Because if Gilmore is out of that game, I think the confidence level, because you already lost Diggs in the preseason, the confidence level, you just can't have Deron Bland out there by himself and then throw in a couple, fourth and fifth string guys that never play. He had to have Gilmore on the field, and the only way he could do that was zone defense. And Jordan Love said, "Time to go to work, man. I see guys wide open. He's slinging the ball. They're running the ball because we're playing zone. You can run the ball more efficiently." It was a bad situation. And unfortunately, Dan Quinn, I'm a fan, but you let us down in that game. Your game plan was terrible. And McCarthy, hey, the buck stops there. You've got to approve the game plan, right? He's got to know what Quinn's going to do. So he must have been also okay with that. And that just didn't work out. And now Dan Quinn's in Washington, and he took all our backups with him and signed a big contracts with all our backups. And there can be the Washington Command Boys, I guess, because they're going to have a lot of Cowboys on the field next year, but none of them that are going to make a big impact, in my opinion.
And CeeDee Lamb, his stuff, he just didn't look ready for the game mentally.
That's weird.
I was back to, but CeeDee was the one that shocked me. Micah Parsons drew a couple holding calls. He was trying, but Lamb dropped the couple of drops he had.
Yeah,
and he didn't look engaged until third quarter.
Yeah. And I think Dak said something to him, and that started the whole downward spiral. Because if you look at that first possession, you guys went down and scored right away. Dallas gets the ball. CeeDee's running a route, across the middle of the field, and he's open, and Dak throws it. He overthrows it. CeeDee gets his hands on it, but kind of tips it away. And I think Dak said something to him. I think he said, something to the, "Hey, you were supposed to be 2 more yards out," or something. Words were exchanged, and then all of a sudden he's at the end of the bench, and McCarthy's over there talking to him. I think that McCarthy was asking him how late the Golden Corral is open, but he may have asked him about the play as well. I'm not sure.
It's those
Justin-
youth roles.
Justin's got a couple comments I really like. I want to hit really quick, and Janae's throwing some Dallas shade. So I'm only going to post some of these. Justin said it'll either be Dallas or Philly wins NFC East because
That's an easy, yeah.
I mean, unless Washington shocks the world and gets the right quarterback,
not.
the Giants are a mess. They've lost Xavier McKinney and Barkley. That's huge. This is a good point by Justin. He said the Niners, and this was a big difference in the Super Bowl. They weren't familiar with the new playoff overtime rules, and the 40 Chiefs were, and that was a whole thing after the game. And that's just
Weird.
That's something that Andy Reid's got all that down.
Yep.
That's a huge difference, and he's got one of the best defensive coordinators that doesn't look interested in leaving because he's got toys to play with, and he's got Mahomes and Reid have the offense set. Spagnuolo with that defense.
Oh, Spagnuolo could ride that defense into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
Right.
even with losing L'Jarius Sneed, they're gonna be set. Mary, you guys, Med, you got a question for him?
So one of the questions I actually had, of course, with Tyron Smith being let go and everything, of course, you already said that, of course, you want them to go offensive tackle with their first overall pick. Now, me personally, before they did that, I was thinking that you would actually want to get another pass rusher, someone like Chop Robinson out of Penn State. Because it just really feels like, and we've talked back and forth on Twitter about this, that whenever they double up Michael Parsons, that basically your pass rush is non-existent. In fact, the best way to nullify Micah Parsons, and this happened not only in the playoff game against the Packers, but also the Bills game, they just went away from him. And, would you want them to actually try to address that? Like you said, you need a tackle to be able to keep Dak upright.
I think, you're onto something there, brother. I do think they need another pass rusher, but don't forget about DeMarcus Lawrence. DeMarcus Lawrence he's a bad man.
He is a bad man.
He's going to be just fine. But there's a guy on that roster a lot of people haven't heard of or don't really see a lot, and that's Sam Williams. And Sam Williams, he had some off-field issue, he had DUI or something last year, and they didn't give him much of a chance. He's kind of in the rotation a little bit. But they're high on him, and that's one of the reasons why they let a few guys walk. There's another guy, a huge fan favorite of mine, because I love the name and I love how he plays. Osa Odigizua. Osa Odigizua he's about, 330, 340. He's up there, man. He's he's big and he's bad. He's nasty. He's going to get more playing time. A lot of what you see with the movement that the free agents that have left, a lot of them weren't playing, or they were in a rotation where they weren't getting much time. And now we're going to be left with just a few items in the fridge, and we're going to have to use them. And I'm okay with Sam Williams and Osa getting more time, but you're right. I think they're going to draft another pass rusher. I think, we're going to have to take care of that offensive line. Tyron Smith, huge loss. Okay. He only played 10.3 games a year. That was his average. We got 17 games a year, man. This guy's hurt all the time. God bless him. It's not his fault. His body, he's just so big, right? He's almost 7 foot tall. He's over 300. He just gets injured easy. It's his lower back. He didn't practice last year. He didn't never practice. They had a deal. You don't have to practice. You just show up to the game. And he was only hurt 2 games. But are the Jets going to be able to roll him out there without practicing? How do you learn the game plan? How do you mesh with Rodgers, and how do you protect him or work with the other linemen unless you're practicing? So that's a recipe for disaster. Look for him to probably not play all 17 games. I'd never wish injury on anyone, but he is going to the Jets. Okay, so let's remember that.
Right.
Rodgers played 30 seconds there, and
I got a quick
hurt.
question. How would you feel?
Ouch.
Exactly. How would you feel if they drafted defense?
You keep cutting in and out, Isaac.
Develop.
You're free.
Is it working?
Isaac.
You're good now. You're good.
Get it
Go
out,
ahead and
yeah.
rewind that.
Okay, good. I turned my phone and my Wi-Fi off. My wife's video game, and it kills my stream. We live with family, and the internet's not the best. Anyways, my question was, Mozzie Smith was a guy who didn't pan out last year. I'm curious if he doesn't, do you think there's any chance the Cowboys go defensive tackle at 24? Because I see Byron Murphy or Newton there, and I think y'all's run D that would help. I like some of the linemen you named. I think that actually. I think that would be an area they may hit before even Chop Robinson. What do you think of
that? Mozzie who?
Smith. He came from Mizzou.
Smith was the first round pick you guys took last year.
Mozzie
he barely played. I was like, me and my coworker.
We had a guy named Mozzie. I don't remember that guy.
Exactly. He barely played for you.
Yeah,
Mozzie who?
You guys thought I didn't know the roster. Gotcha. First of all, I'm a Notre Dame fan, so I want a complete ban on drafting Michigan players. First of all, no Michigan player. I mean, we drafted Luke.
This will be the year to draft some Michigan players.
Luke Schoonmaker last year and Mozzie Smith. That was our one. Mozzie 1 and Luke Schoonmaker 2. Neither one of those two produced at all. At all. Not even a little bit. So hey, we got a package deal if you want both of those. And Mike McCarthy. We throw in all three.
What do we get?
Straight up. And we might even throw Dak in there. Straight up for Jordan Love. Right now. We do it right now.
Yeah, you would do it. Absolutely.
Hell yeah, dude. No, I wouldn't do my boy Dak that way, but he's just gonna have to fail one more time and then I'll be done with him. But Mozzie was the thing about
my
Mozzie.
Dak question on that, by the way.
Yeah. I'm ready for the Dak question. Mozzie He lost like 30 pounds last year. He went on some diet or something. Dan Quinn likes his guys to be fast. If you look, and that's kind of what Jordan Love was saying. We got safeties playing linebackers. What does Jordan Love mean by that? What he means is we got 195-pound guys playing linebacker. That's not going to work. And you got
they're so undersized. They're all about speed, and that's why teams can.
That's Dan Quinn.
Your guys' stats look great because you're playing Washington and the Giants 4 games a year.
Yeah.
And Barkley, I mean, he's a threat, but there wasn't anything else on that offense last year.
Yeah.
And
Barkley's a threat to get his ankle wrapped by halftime. That's about all the threat he is.
I'm curious how he's going to work out in Philly. That's going to be
just like Tyron Smith. Tell me a year that Barkley's played a full season without getting hurt. I mean, you can't do it.
Rookie year, right? Rookie,
yeah,
that was it. Right?
That was it,
wasn't it?
And maybe I don't even know if he played that.
No, I think it was his rookie year. I remember he had that one amazing season. Last year was solid. I think he's only had 2 out of his 5 years. Yeah. And that was it. Yeah. You're right.
So he and they're going to run him in Philly. They're going to run him. And again, not wishing injury on anybody, but you have to consider the injuries when you go out and pay that kind of money for a free agent, especially a back, because they're going to get hit. So, I did not want Barkley in Dallas. We just did that. Yeah,
the Packers just picked up Josh Jacobs, which was one of the biggest shockers. Like, if I had asked either of you all that, I know you're not Packers fans, but if you were like, where's Josh Jacobs going to go? Nobody would have said Green Bay. It wasn't on the radar.
Aaron Jones
was a landing spot.
Aaron Jones is gone, right? I mean, he was leaving anyways, or were you guys negotiating with him?
Oh, we
were trying to.
They cut him.
His cap number was 17, and we were trying to talk him into. We were actually the Packers went way too low. They went down to like 5.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to go that low. He'd already taken a $5 million hit the year before. And
the good news is that Josh Jacobs, whenever he plays, he has a good year, a bad year, a good year, a bad year.
We're gonna get a
good year. Going into a good year.
Exactly.
You might get 2.
There you go.
Mary, did you have any? We've all taken turns. Do you have some questions?
No, I was trying to find the intro while you guys were talking, so I was doing work behind the scenes. I know, right? I'm finally doing work. What do you guys think? I know Isaac knows about this one. He told me I can ask it, so I will. What do Cowboys think when they hear Lambeau South from Green Bay Packers fans?
I mean, I mean, if we were in your division and you were beating us twice a year and once a year, that would be something that would, So you maybe Soldier South, but my memories go a lot deeper than recent playoffs. Like we talked about earlier. I've been around a while. I was born in the 70s. So I saw the Packers come in to Dallas, and it was the old stadium, but numerous times in the playoffs and leave. So I've seen it on both sides. I think everything goes in cycles. And right now, you guys are taking care of business in Dallas, but eventually that's going to turn the other way. You know, whether that's next year, whether that's 5 years from now, it's just a cycle. Hey, if you come in an NFC Championship style game and beat a team on the road, then you can take their stadium. But if it's just a, first round playoff or a regular season game, it just, it is what it is. We got to get better, no doubt about it. Green Bay's got our number. They sent over this coach as a plant, and he's giving the playbook away. I don't know what's going on with it.
Man, this is fun. I love this. I love it.
Yeah, hey, no holds barred. I'll crack on my team all day.
I'll do the same
it's
thing
all
the
fair
time.
game, man.
Well, I tried rooting for them when I moved here 6 years ago for a minute, and I watched the roller coaster, and I was like, no, I can't do this. This team just drives me nuts. Like
it's painful.
It's just they're trying to mess with your emotions. I feel like
it's painful, man. Want. And I feel bad for the younger people. I feel bad for my son who's 27 and he hasn't seen that Super Bowl, and I've seen 5 in my lifetime. I mean, I was just talking about with Brian. Brian asked me how my VCR is. I said, I don't need to use my VCR because all 5 of those Super Bowls are right here. I got to see them. So, that's one thing that you get. You guys have the same thing. You remember, Aaron Rodgers leading that team and winning a Super Bowl. You don't need to get, you love to watch it again, but it's there, right? It's there, and you can't take that away from me. I've seen 5 Super Bowls. I know they're in a drought right now, but the drought doesn't affect the older guys like me as much as it does the younger guys, because I've seen it go where we've won. Tom Landry had 20 consecutive winning seasons, a record that, I think Belichick came close. I could be off on that by a year, but it's just something.
Brady's coattails.
Yeah, you ain't lying. But
I just can't quit you Cowboys comment. They haven't hosted a championship game since the last time they made the Super Bowl and he was there. That's pretty cool that he was there, though.
Hey, I know that guy.
I was trying to get him to come on.
I'm going
to see if
he still could come on if he wants.
He's an old time. Yeah, he's an old timer like me, man. If I'm thinking of the right guy, he's a guy like me that's been around. But yeah, you're right. You can't take our stadium until you go in there and win that NFC Championship. Then you get Lambeau South. There you go. We'll give you that.
I got a Bears fan for you, Med. Peter, he wants to hop on and do a Packers Bears mock with us.
Yeah, that's cool.
He's very cool. Definitely. I'm divorced. My ex father-in-law, he was like, why are we? He asked a good question. He's like, why are we accepting this? Like, just barely making the playoffs crap. He's like, why for the Cowboys? He was like, why are we accepting this? Like, we're used to Super Bowls. I want to get back to that. And I think, and somebody else made this point, I think it's something I've heard, and I think it's probably the truth, unfortunately. Why is the bar for Jerry going to be anything more than what it is now when he has the most? It was actually Mecca Mike I'm taking this from, so I'm going to give him credit. But I'd heard similar comments. But why are they, and he's a YouTuber and he does a Cowboy show, why is the bar any higher for success for Jerry when his team probably, if they did another one, would be worth over $10 billion, the most profitable franchise in the world, not just in the NFL? If he deep down really did care about a Super Bowl, I think he would make changes, but I think he cares more about being right, and he's still getting paid more than any other owner. His franchise is that valuable. Why? No one's, until the money hits him, I don't think he's going to change.
Well, the money ain't going to hit him because he's in his 80s. It's
not going to hit him. No one's going to stop for the Cowboys. The values keep going up.
It's not. Yeah, it's not fine. And there's nothing. Brian and I were just talking about that on his pod. Like, you can. Oh, I'm a Cowboys fan. I boycott. I'm not buying any more jerseys. Jerry wouldn't know if you had his jersey on or if you dropped a penny. It's the same thing to him. It is not going to affect him. There's no boycott that's going to work. It is what it is. But what I will say, kind of play devil's, as much as I agree with you, I also have to flip it and play the other side. They won 37 games in 3 years. It's not like they're not trying to win. I mean, if they're 1-16 for 3 years in a row, I could say, Jerry, you're not trying to put a winner together. You don't win 37 games. We forget they went into Tampa last season in the playoffs, beat Tom Brady in Tampa. Dak threw 4 touchdowns, no picks. The kicker decided, I'm not making any more extra points. From now on out, I'm missing everything. They went into San Fran, they couldn't kick the ball, and they lost. So, I mean, what part of any of that matches Jerry's not trying to win? I mean, I think Jerry's trying to win. He's just made mistakes. He needs to hire a real GM. This is my feeling. This is what I've said. I've tweeted it out before. Jerry Jones is the best owner in the history of sports, and he's the worst GM in the history of sports.
I think that's a really good way to put it.
I mean, yes, the most valuable franchise in the world.
Yeah, so he's the best owner.
Not just NFL, but in the world.
He's the best owner in the world. He's made more money than anybody. But when it comes to being a GM, not so much.
Some questionable decisions.
Yep.
And it's funny because he can get stars, like you said. Like I didn't mean not trying to win, like trying to win if his goal is a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like the depth on the team and around the edges, the stuff that a really good GM does. Jerry and Steven, it's not going to happen.
Steven's worse.
Yeah.
We did a show and I said, my co-host, my son, he said, what do you think? So the worst thing that can happen to the Cowboys in the offseason? What's the worst thing? And I said, Jerry Jones passes away, because then Stephen Jones takes over. We call him Cap Boy. Every time you ask that man a question, well, the salary cap, blah, blah, blah. It always starts with the cap. Look, you can extend people, you can move people, you can cut people, you can make moves to free up cap space. So stop using that excuse why you're not doing anything in the offseason. Just say it. We're not going to extend Dak, so we don't have the money. Just tell us the truth. Don't tell us that you're trying to work things under the cap, because we know at this point that's not true. They're not trying to bring in any free agents. They're just going to let Dak play his last year, and it's a all or nothing. Him and McCarthy, they're going in it like, hey, and I hate to be those two, right? Because not the expectations, but the standard for them to keep their job is going to be higher than any standard that's been given to them in the last 30 years.
So when you brought that up, you want to go with the comment first?
Really quick, his way. I think that's.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Sorry, Matt. Yeah, you're good. I just wanted to. It had been sitting there for a minute.
So of course, everyone is really talking about Dak Prescott and his contract extension, and I just recently heard a rumor because of the whole Trey Lance getting traded to him and everything like that, that they're really just sitting on not extending Dak because they're really kind of looking at Trey Lance as the future quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. What is your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm going to tell you something that most people don't take into consideration. Trey Lance is 23 years old.
Oh, yeah.
He's younger than the 4 first-round quarterbacks that are about to be picked in the draft. Mm-hmm. He's young. The Niners rolled him out on the field for 3 starts at 20. My man here knows his NFL here. I love it. So you're talking about Trey. You got people, and Cowboys fans are the worst, man. Trey Lance is a bust. Tell me how he's a bust when he really hasn't played.
He's played one game and it was in the monsoon.
Yeah, man. Like, he's 23. Like, okay, so this is what I just told Brian, and I think you guys will appreciate this. Trey Lance could be a Jordan Love. You sit behind your starting quarterback, your franchise quarterback, you take notes, you learn the offense, you play the preseason games, you come in garbage time, you come in when the guy's hurt, and next year, Dak walks, Trey Lance takes over. He'll be 24 years old. I mean, that's nothing. That's nothing. Then if he flops, you get your draft picks, and then you rebuild the team. I think that's the plan. Cowboys fans are probably already unfollowing me on Twitter because they all Trey's a bust. Trey's a bust. I don't know how you can tell me a 23-year-old. And look, I mean, the guy left college after his junior year, and guess what? He didn't play that year because it was a COVID year. He hasn't really played football since his sophomore year in college when he was 18 or 19 years old. And he's just developing. He's developing. He could be the next Jordan Love, or he might not be. But I think the plan is they brought him in for a reason. They gave up a 4th-round draft pick. So you're not doing that for your 3rd-string quarterback. You're doing that for your future quarterback. So things are I'm definitely looking right. If you look at the way the Dak Prescott situation is unfolded, it kind of looks like everything's lining up for Trey Lance next year. Unless Dak comes out and lights it up again, but this time wins a couple playoff games, then maybe Trey Lance, they trade him or make him the backup and let Cooper Rush go. I don't know. But I think he could be the next Jordan Love if given the right opportunity and, given a chance. You got to give him a chance.
I agree.
You guys think he's a bust?
No, I think I'd like to see more. It's too early.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what I'm saying.
In the NFL, if you don't have the right quarterback, in my opinion, you need to rush and roulette it until you do.
Yeah,
and I think the Patriots need to draft one. They need to draft one because, yes, they don't have the support system in place, but they can fill a lot of needs in the rest of the draft, and it'll take multiple years for the Patriots to rebuild after Tom Brady. But if you don't have a quarterback, you better go get one, because unless you have a Hall of Fame defense and everything else right, and it's still really tough to win right now. Mahomes is he's just one of the best quarterbacks you ever see.
Yeah.
He also fell in the perfect situation.
Yeah.
He's just. We may have that in Jordan Love. I still don't know. What would I pay the guy? I'd like to see more. He had a great end of the season stretch. He showed a lot of promise, but I'd still like to see more with Jordan Love. How many teams in the NFL can actually definitively say they think they've got the right guy? Here's an example.
Yeah.
How do the Jaguars feel about Trevor Lawrence right now?
I'd be lukewarm on him.
Yeah,
exactly.
they're turning
pick
on him, man. They're turning on him quick. I'm only like 90 miles from Jacksonville. Bluffton's even closer. So we got a lot of Jags coverage.
89 miles.
89. Yeah, we got a lot of Jaguars coverage down here.
Yes, we do.
And they're not real. Yeah, they're not ready to off with his head yet, but they're not thrilled. Yeah, they're close, man. If they come out and they go 1-4 or something like that, they're gonna be wanting him on the bench. And who did they just bring in? Free agent quarterback to back him up. They brought somebody in.
Mac Jones from the Patriots.
Mac, yeah.
Right now, Trevor Lawrence is the only quarterback out of that draft class that's including Justin Fields, Mac Jones, Trey Lance, and there's someone else, but he's the only starting quarterback that's still starting from that draft class, and it's only 3 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Good comment there by Peter. He's asking. He's a Bears fan, so just take that into consideration. He's not. Do you think that Love improves? I honestly think that the offensive line is going to be key this year. We had one of the best pass blocking lines in the league. We only gave up an NFC low 30 sacks. We had the best pass win rate in the NFL, pass rush win rate, but our run blocking was subpar at best. And I think part of that was A.J. Dillon, but also it took the problem is now in the NFL, it takes lines time to gel because they're not getting the same level of reps that they used to. So you're watching it more and more. And last year, it led to more quarterback injuries significantly early on in the season. So I think that's going to be the huge thing for the Packers while we're on them.
Yeah, I agree. And one more point I wanted to make about Trey Lance, and I don't want people out there to think I'm pushing for Trey Lance to start. I mean, Dak's the guy. That's it. But if Jordan Love played his rookie year 3 games and they did not do well, would Jordan Love be a bust? And you look at it now and you're like, oh, heck no, he's not a bust. No, he's not a bust. Look what he did. He won a playoff game. So you got to have an opportunity, right? I mean, you got
that time to watch. That's why it worked with Rodgers. I think the best thing you can do for a quarterback, and this is what I want to see if the Bears are going to do this with Caleb. You obviously have to surround him with weapons.
No, he's starting game 1, right? I mean, he ain't sitting. There ain't nobody left to sit behind.
Teams, if Poles, and he's a really good GM, he needs to think about this one. He needs to go get a vet and even if it's not a great veteran quarterback, it'd be great if it was a solid one that could actually hold down the fort for most of a season. But he needs a guy he can learn behind and watch the game because it's such a jump from college, especially some of these teams that these guys play in college. Their defenses are not. They wouldn't even. It's such a jump to the NFL. You've got to sit and watch the game, and if you can watch behind a quarterback that really knows the X's and O's and has talent, that really helps so much. Jordan Love would not be where he is right now if he had played right away. There's no way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying about Trey. Like, give the man a chance before you call him a bust. He's 23 years old, and he needs opportunity. And I think, hey, maybe this is the last hurrah for Jerry. Maybe Jerry said, I'm making this one last trade. This is our future, and he's going to roll the dice. And I hope he's wrong, because I hope Dak gets it done this year. But, I'm tired of saying that. So, I'm ready for plan B as well if things don't work out. But yeah, I mean, I think the Packers have set the standard for how you develop quarterbacks. They did it with, with Favre, with Rodgers, and now with Jordan Love.
Well, they've been blessed.
They have, but they've taken their time.
Yeah,
they didn't. If you look at, what the Bears did with Fields. I mean, if Fields could have sat behind somebody for a couple of years, he'd probably still be there. But they just, you throw him out there too early, and it's all or nothing. And every once in a while, you get a gem. Like Mahomes, I mean, Mahomes, even though I don't think didn't he sit 1 year and came in?
Did.
Yes.
Yeah.
He did. He stepped behind Alex Smith. And they made the playoffs that year with Alex Smith, I believe. They were actually a really good team. They took Mahomes at, 10 or 11?
He was a playoff team when he got drafted there. Yeah. So
Kelsey was already a veteran there, established, and then they got Tyreek Hill. Yeah.
So two things like what you were talking about with Trey Lance. I think a lot of people really look at him as potentially being a bust is because he was traded for 3 first-round picks for San Francisco to go up to the 3rd pick to grab him. I think that's why a lot of people, when they see that, they're like, okay, that's such a lopsided trade. That's what happened. And like you said, the one game that he actually played, he played in Chicago when it was the downpour. And I know it was a win because it was one of like 3 that year for us. But the Bears actually did try to do the veteran thing before, because they actually brought in Cade McNow to actually sit in front of Justin Fields. It's just that our team sucked. And, when your best receiver is Allen Robinson, who already had 1 foot out the door anyway, I mean, that's telling you a lot. I think Justin Fields just never got an opportunity in Chicago. And when your biggest weapon is DJ Moore at the end of the year of his 3rd year, I mean, I just think really and truthfully, the way that the Bears are looking, we're kind of thirsty about it, because our biggest rival, if I don't even really consider it a rivalry at this point, because they've been curb stomping us for the past 5 years, has had a Hall of Fame quarterback after a Hall of Fame quarterback. And then even though Jordan Love stunk it up at the beginning of the year, turned it around towards the end and just made himself have the best rookie season for a Packers quarterback. And when we sit there and we see that, we're like, hey, we wouldn't mind having that. We never had that.
Yeah.
And
that's why you get Williams. I get it.
I think that's why I personally am a bigger Jaden Daniels fan than over Caleb Williams, but I think it's kind of like a YOLO moment where they have that fear of missing out on the next big thing. And that's why we've got Mitch Trubisky, which still confuses me. And then we went with Justin Fields. So,
I like Peter's comment. He wished they'd spent a couple of years before Fields building the line and skill position weapons. And because that if you can bring a guy in, that's why I like Atlanta. I don't believe in Kirk Cousins at this age. And I mean, he's going to put up a good regular season, but he's not going to do anything for you in the playoffs. It's very similar to Dak, unfortunately.
But he tore an Achilles.
Yeah, I would.
36 coming off a major.
I'm gonna put Dak up here. I'm not a Dak defender per se. I'm putting Dak here, and I'm putting him lower than Dak. Definitely.
Plus, Dak
and he's younger.
Dak's 5 years younger. Dak's going to be 31. He's going to be 36. Dak has more of a chance. Now, me and Ned have talked about this. I've got a question for you. Now that we're on this Dak thing, if Dak leaves, the problem is there's going to be a dead cap hit that'll hurt. I think it's $25 million next year. Where would you want to see Dak go? Because I think Miami would be an interesting landing spot.
The thing is, the hit should not be quite that bad because he's going to get a contract. You look at Russell Wilson, his hit was massive because nobody really wanted Russell Wilson. And they're going to pay him $1 million. I think Dak's worth, this sounds crazy because for us working folk, $25-30 million is like, okay, I'm done. I'm retired. I'll never work again.
That's making that your whole career even?
Yeah. but Dak, I mean, come on, somebody's going to pay him that. So I don't think that hit will be. And I'm not an economic major, and I don't understand the ins and outs of the salary cap, because you see sign guys for $100 million for 2 years, and well, the cap hit's only 9. I'm like, what the hell are they talking about? How's it $9 million? But so I think that hit will be lower than that. But I think you know, if he does not perform this year, you have no choice but to let him test. Now, here's the interesting thing. From what I have heard on another pod, and it was a Cowboys pod, that, like the official Cowboys pod, that they can make him a restricted free agent, not an unconditional free agent. So it's kind of like a Lamar Jackson deal where Dak can go test the open market, and they can then match or beat the offers to keep him. So Jerry's kind of lined it up. Maybe he's smarter than we think, that next year they could kind of really test the waters here. Let's see how much other teams want to pay this guy, and maybe, okay, you can only get 40 million out there. We'll give you 40 to stay. Or if you could get 60 or 70 million, you can have him, and now our dead cap is gone and we're good.
But so, I thought he had a no tag clause, doesn't he? Or is there another one that's
it ends this year? This is it. This year. Okay. Yeah, he's got a no trade clause. There was
a deal with his where he couldn't be tagged.
He's got a no trade clause. So, you know, that's the other thing that drives me nuts on social media is trade Dak. Can't trade Dak. Got a no trade clause. So just forget that. The option, that's off the table. Got no trade clause. Can't trade him. But this is it this year. And then he now can go test free agency. They could cut him. All those things are on the table after this season. Again, I hope, you know, that he performs well and they go deep in the playoffs and he stays. But if he doesn't, I'm kind of curious about plan B. We'll see what happens.
So he must have heard something I heard. He said no trade and no tag. There was something.
He can't be tagged again because he's already been tagged, and he can't be traded.
What is it? I forget what it's called. It's got a weird name. Transition tag.
Yeah, they tagged him already when they were working out his last contract.
Yeah,
he's got a good agent. His agent plays hardball, and they want top dollar. And I mean,
he doesn't.
You know, they throw the stats on the table, and it's hard to argue. But you know, I think Jerry's at the point. Steve is at the point where, like, I don't want to hear about the stats. I want playoff performance. So
that's the way it should be.
Plus 8 TDs against Washington kind of inflates your stats a little bit.
Yeah.
And he had like 4 in one of those other Giant games. The other one, they didn't even need him. But you had 12 against 2 of your division rivals. That kind of inflates your stats a little bit.
I think he had 12 in the second half against the Packers. I don't know.
He did. Yeah, dude. That's my favorite thing. He had a good game, and I'm like, did you watch the first half?
Jake Ferguson had a game. That was it.
I love Jake Ferguson, though.
Yeah, that's my guy, man. And he had 3 touchdowns. Every time you look up, Jake, and I was barely watching the game in the second half. I'm watching it, but I'm just like, this is over. Oh, touchdown, Jake Ferguson. Oh, another touchdown, Jake Ferguson. Touchdown, Jake Ferguson. Wait a minute, we got somebody here that came to play. At least one guy.
One person got off the bus.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did get off the bus. I mean, and that, you know, we just lost Dalton Schultz a year before. Dalton wanted more money, and off he went to the Texans. So that's kind of what I'm saying. Maybe we get lucky again. We got lucky with Fergie, and I think Fergie's better than Dalton Schultz. I really do. So I think they got lucky by letting Dalton go. Maybe they didn't get lucky. Maybe they knew this, and maybe it'll happen again with a quarterback. We'll see.
I'm curious what y'all are going to do at running back. Do you have a favorite target in the
draft? I think they're going to try to draft Jonathan Brooks out of Texas, second round. I think it's going to be second round. It could be third round. If they wait to the third round to get it back, it'll be somebody else. It won't be him. But the backs aren't going in the first round anymore. It doesn't matter how good they are. They're not going in the first round. So if we get our guy that we want in the first round, which I think is JPJ, we call him, out of Oregon, the center.
I love him.
Jackson Powers
Johnson. Yeah.
I love Jackson Powers.
If they get him first round, and if they don't get him, I think it's going to be Tyler Guyton,
out of Oklahoma,
tackle out of Oklahoma. And then the second round, I'm looking probably at a defensive lineman, a pass rusher, maybe another offensive weapon, maybe a receiver, but I don't think so. I think it's going to be 2 linemen right away, one on offense, one on defense, and then you get the very best running back that you can get in the third round. That sounds like, man, that's not good enough. Running backs don't start going until late in the second round, right? So you're getting one of the top, probably top 5 running backs. And the last time we had a really productive running back for one season was Zeke Elliott's rookie year. Rookie year,
you got Dak.
And they're fresh. Their legs are fresh. The backs can take hits. They want to prove themselves. I think a rookie running back is a smart move.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a lot left. Zeke is actually still out there as a free agent. Which, you know,
I heard he went met with y'all.
Yeah,
I heard about the rumor that he was thinking about coming back, and I was like, I mean, honestly, as a third down back,
it's not a bad.
Still great.
And they kind of wanted to get AJ Dillon, from what I understand, but he wanted a little bit more. And you guys got him back, right? He went back to.
Yeah, we had a weird deal with him. I was like restricted. It was a weird contract clause.
Yeah,
where we got him back at like 1.3 mil.
Yeah,
it was super cheap. And I still think that the Packers might. I'm hoping they actually look at running back in the 3rd or 4th round.
There you go. There's some good backs to be around. They'll be good. The guys that are there are going to be great.
Allen. Ooh, that would be sweet, because he's going to be coming back off an ACL, so he can take time to come back.
All that Wisconsin cheese.
Exactly. That's actually why I think the Cowboys, if they pivot and they don't go offensive line, I think you guys might get a Texas boy Murphy at defensive tackle, and then get Brooks later, get a couple of Texas players. I could see.
Yeah, and I think if Guyton and Powers Johnson are somehow gone, and they could be, Philly might take Powers
Johnson to replace
they might. I mean, I think it's a slam dunk. They're going to take him, but every time I look at a mock, they're not taking him. And I'm like, what? I don't understand, because Kelsey's gone.
Last night. We took him. Mary, how many times did Powers Johnson go to the Eagles? We did 3 first rounds. I think he went to the Eagles twice.
But that's not what we're hearing.
No, I know. I think it's
I don't
weird.
understand.
They've got Philly, as good of a team as they are, like Dallas. They're both going to be. We're going to be surprised if either team didn't make the playoffs. We'll just be honest here. I mean, Dallas should make the playoffs. Philly should make the playoffs. But they both, and like Green Bay, who I think might make the playoffs, they probably will. They do have a lot of needs. So it's just hard. And there's the problem with these drafts, guys, is there's going to be some crazy stuff that happens. Like, we've got these projections. Some of these teams are going to take guys that we see. It happens every year. We should recap soon. We should look at last year's draft and be like, that guy was projected for the 3rd round. On that team forward, they loved him. That's just how it's going to go.
Yeah, that's why the mock drafts they're fun, but they're not. They're not. They're obviously not realistic, because we don't know. Right. A lot of these teams know exactly who they're taking, but they don't tell you, because if they told you, their division rival would take them. That's part of the. That's part of the deal.
Peter's funny.
Yeah. Unless you're picking number one. You're picking number one.
Go Packers mock.
Yeah.
Mary, you're up. What you got? I know you've got other stuff.
No, I figured. Oh, do I? How do you know? Well, Matt already asked one of mine, so.
Anything else?
I'm thinking. I mean, like, the only one that I was like thinking of, like, you guys see yourselves in playoffs, obviously. What is your division? Like, do you guys think you'll be first in the division of the NFC East, or what?
It's weird. I don't know what the count is now. I want to say it's 6 or 8 straight years that there's been a different division winner. So lately it goes Dallas, Philly, Dallas, Philly.
Right.
Dallas won it last year. Philly should win it next year. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be the lazy man's pick right there. It's going to be one of those two. How about that? It's going to be one of those two, Mary. That's my answer. I mean, I want to say, they're going to win the division, but I mean, there's just too many factors that go into that. But I do agree with Isaac. It's a playoff team. I don't care how many people they lost. I've listed the core of that team is back, and it's look at the Chiefs. The example for all of us is the Chiefs, the most successful team in the league right now. They lose a lot of free agents, and they've lost a lot of free agents since they won their first Super Bowl with Mahomes. But they just replace them. They draft and they pick up free agents on the cheap, whatever they got to do, and you keep your core. You got, and their core happens to be Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion. But as long as those two guys are out there, they're always a threat to win. So I'm not worried unless there's injuries. I'm not worried that this is not a playoff team. I'm just worried about what they do in the playoffs.
20 years, 2003 to 2004. I Googled it, so I cheated. The last time the NFC had a division repeat winner was the 03-04 Eagles under Andy
There you go.
Reid. And the last time the Giants won it was in 2011 when they won that last Super Bowl.
Right.
Oh, are the Giants still in the NFC East? I
don't know. I took Jaden Daniels at 6 in a mock draft last night.
You did.
Because I don't believe in Daniel Jones, and I was like, yes, I could take. Malik Neighbors was there one time, but I was like, if Jaden Daniels falls to 6, I think you just take Jaden Daniels because Daniel Jones is not it. He wasn't it when they paid him.
Speaking of 6, Isaac, you know what Daniel Jones's record against the Cowboys is?
0-6. I guess
0-6. 0-6. So please do not replace that man. Keep him started.
Keep him there.
Mary, you're upside down. What's going on?
Ned, what else you got?
What?
Ned, you got some other fun questions?
So just so where are you from originally, Reg?
Oh man, everywhere. Born in upstate New York, and in kindergarten we moved. My parents got divorced. We moved to Amarillo, Texas. Okay. Started school there, and then my dad took another job at the Hanford Nuclear Power Plant out in Washington State, and I ended up finishing up my grade school, middle school, and high school in Washington State. Went into the military and spent 25 years in northern Indiana. That's why I know a little bit about the Bears and Packers. So moved around a lot. I want to say that I picked up my fanhood for the Cowboys in Amarillo. That sounds like a good story. But what I do remember, my first Super Bowl that I can remember was that 77, I believe that was 76, 77, the Broncos Cowboys Super Bowl, which had, I think, the most turnovers. It still holds a record, that Cowboys defense. And they had the Super Bowl MVPs were co-MVPs, Randy White and Harvey Martin were the MVPs of that Super Bowl, 2 defensive linemen, which has never been repeated since. So that I point to that as the moment that I became a Cowboys fan, just being a kid watching the Super Bowl. And it's like, okay, pick a team. Well, I'm pick the Cowboys, and they won. But I did spend time in Amarillo, so maybe where I picked up my love for the team there, but I'm not sure exactly.
And Randy White is actually, his nickname is the Manster.
The Manster.
Yeah, he was a member of the Doomsday defense.
Half man, half monster.
I went up to Canton a few years ago, and I actually walked alongside Mr. Cowboy himself, Bob Lilly. And dude was actually he's every bit of 6'8" or whatever tall he was. He made me smell. I mean, I'm a big guy. I'm 6 foot, about 300 pounds, but he made me feel very small.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny you bring that up. I write for a website called We Like Sports, and I did an article this morning that I posted on X, so you guys can check it out, on the Ring of Honor. And Bob Lilly was the first inductee on the Cowboys Ring of Honor. So good little piece there, man. I'm impressed, brother. That's
Thank
good.
you. Thank you. I think he was the first pick also, wasn't he? That's why
he's Mr. Cowboy. Yeah, that's and there's not a lot of people around that remember him playing anymore, so he doesn't get the recognition that he deserves, but he did a lot for the franchise.
Good stuff, man. Very good.
And he wore a cowboy hat all the time. He always wearing a cowboy hat.
Still does.
And like you said, he's already tall as a tree, and then he puts the big 10-gallon hat on, and you're like, man, that's a big boy right there.
It was really cool because, I mean, I played semi-pro football very shortly, and this is where you want to be. You want to actually get to the NFL and everything. So when you see people not even my dad, my dad, he had a cool story with Atlanta Falcons where he was invited to their training camp when they first became an expansion team. And in fact, that's his jersey. I bought him a while back, but he, once I found out about that, I was like, why didn't you go? And, he chose to be a dad is basically.
Yeah, nice.
So
that's awesome.
my middle brother was only 2. My older brother was 4. So he stayed behind and basically worked. And it's like, man, just think that.
That's awesome.
But I grew up watching. I consider myself. I try to be a historian on it because I like the older stuff, like the guys that played on the teams for a while. When you talk about the Ray Nitschkes, the Dick Buckuses, Ed Too Tall Jones, Joe Green, all the way to Y.A. Tittle. So I mean, I like seeing players like that from back in the day.
Right.
Love it. Love it. I'm with you.
Really quick, I'm just going to hit a couple comments really fast. That was awesome. I was enjoying all of that. I didn't know you were just outside Frisco, man. You're not too far from me. I'm 30 minutes south of Dallas. You know, it's such a cool NFL now, but I still like it's probably because the end of his tenure with Aaron Rodgers wasn't the best and his playoff flameouts. But for some reason, Brett Favre just sticks more with me as a Packers fan, and watching him and like when I was little, see, I'm not as old as y'all, but when I was, I feel bad saying that. But Reggie White just was a beast. I remember Bruce Allen. I know that was bad. Bruce Allen was one of my favorite things. I'm happy that I started fantasy football when I was so young because so many players in the 90s that I loved watching. And the first fantasy Super Bowl that I won when Terrell Davis in his MVP season where he had over 2,000 yards for the Broncos. He had his worst game with 19 yards against Miami. But, a guy that stands out now, and it's probably because of my late aunt who just passed away this year, John Elway was special. Yeah. As much as I love Brett Favre, I used to think he was superior, I've gone and watched a lot of tape, and John Elway was better.
There's one highlight from a certain Super Bowl that he won where he went helicoptering.
I knew you were going there.
Who were they playing in that game? I don't remember.
But that run secured the game for them. And that was the stuff I missed Purdy doing. He just did against Detroit, but then didn't do in the Super Bowl. And Mahomes did use his legs, and that was the difference in the game.
Right.
But no, John Elway, man, he was just special.
Yeah, I agree. He's awesome. Man.
I'm not a Broncos fan, but my aunt loved them, and I loved her. So,
And he was a guy.
We thought we were going to get another ring, but we didn't.
Yeah, Elway was a guy that's kind of like Marino, and he kept getting there, but couldn't get over the hump. And all of a sudden, he was in his late 30s and flying through the air doing a helicopter to win a Super Bowl. And it's like, man, I love it. Good for him. He was able to accomplish that. Where a lot of athletes at that age, especially quarterbacks, they're free agents and they're bouncing around teams, and maybe they end up being a backup. But Elway went out on top, man. Right? He retired after that second Super Bowl win and never came back. Tom Brady could learn a lesson from that. Don't come back. When you've done it, walk away.
Did you hear the comments about him thinking about coming back this year?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Just today or just this weekend? I was like,
that's insane.
Dude, I was like, you are going to be 47 years old. You've already broken the record. No quarterback has been good into their 40s this late in their 40s. It's never happened. Warren Moon, Favre tailed off at 40. Yeah. No one else was on your level in their 40s. Just, age was up. And at this point, he could take such an injury if he goes and plays again.
Yeah, I'm not even sure anybody would want him unless they're just trying to sell tickets. If there's a team, I don't know, Carolina or somebody like that wants to fill up their stadium. But
the offensive line was such a mess, but that offense was pitiful. It was you could see some regression, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It happens. Yeah. His decision making, the how fast he was getting the ball out, it started to just decline a little bit.
Yep.
It really
100%. I've been there. I've been 40. I mean, I'm older than that now, but things definitely start slowing down.
I'm an 80s kid. Yeah, I think about
a birthday. I'm really
You're 36.
Happy birthday, man. That was yesterday? Or
I'm starting to feel it. My wife's making fun of me for all this.
It happens, man.
I know.
I'm like, hair right there, brother.
Everybody.
Yeah, right. Show them what's up.
This is 50, baby.
Lucky you, man.
Hey, wait till you're 41 and you pull a muscle stretching.
Oh yeah, I pull a muscle getting out of bed, man.
Yeah, that's actually what happened. I was 41. I went
There
and
it
busted
is.
one of these, and I was like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah, and then you gotta go. Then you're gonna go start playing quarterback in the NFL. I mean, come
yeah.
on,
No,
the guy. You get in your 40s, man. It's over.
it's
Go out, go
avocado
in,
ice cream.
yeah, absolutely.
Man, this was a lot of fun. You guys have any
Yeah.
other questions? I got one more in a second, but Mary, you guys got any other questions? Also,
I got
really
one,
quick,
but I'll let Mary hit it first.
Oh, great.
Peter just sent me a mock draft,
Oh,
and
no.
he took Max Melton at 37 for the Packers. He
Oh, this is not
traded
funny.
Christian Haynes, and then Trey Benson, and then Rook Orhoro, and then Javon Bullard, and then Kieran Amagjaga.
Like Rook.
That's his last name. But he traded down and
Oh.
got Max Melton at 37. I would not
Peter, I
take
know
Max Melton at 37, but the rest of it's not bad. I wouldn't do that. Oh yeah, y'all hit your questions. I'll do mine last. Mary, what you got?
So, because you guys traded your left tackle to the Jets, how do you guys think?
No, we didn't trade him. They let him go.
Just straight up.
thought-
He was free agent.
Anyways, who do you think would fill in for him?
Well, we had Brock Hoffman and TJ Bass both start 2 games last year. Both did extremely well. They held their own. There were some serious questions. One of the games is that last game against Washington where, we didn't know Philly. I mean, we knew Philly was collapsing, but they still had a mathematical chance, but they blew it. But TJ Bass played really well in that game. He's played center twice, and Hoffman is started at guard or tackle twice. So the replacements are already there. They're younger, they're healthier, they're ready to roll. But I think you definitely will see them draft. I believe their first pick will be offensive line, whether it's the other theory is you go get like the Guyton from Oklahoma, you get him first and you just slide TJ Bass over to be the center. So like I said, he only played like 10.3 games a year for, the last 10 or 12 years. And, where are you trying to go here? We trying to go to the Super Bowl? Isn't that the ultimate goal? We need you for more than 10 games. So at the end of the day, they weren't going to pay him. They'd love to keep him. Would love to keep him. He's right here in my cup.
Yeah.
He's going to, I'm sure he's going to retire a Cowboy, and he might even be on that Ring of Honor one day. But right now, his body just isn't holding up, and he's aging, and he had to go. And I understand that.
It's crazy because at the beginning of his career, he missed I think it was how many years did he not miss a game? Was it 6-7 years?
Yeah.
And then it started to tail off. He was like the Iron Man, and now it's every year he's the opposite, unfortunately. But age catches up, and you nailed it, man. With the lower back, he's just had a myriad of injuries, arm, everything's just been.
Yeah, I don't think
that aren't getting the left tackle that's going to start the full season. That'd be
you get that lower back, and you got another 300-pound guy pushing you, and you're pushing him, and that lower back is not a good situation.
No.
So gonna miss him, but we're gonna miss him, but we were already missing him. That's the way to look at it. We missed him.
Who do you think they're gonna do? What do you think they're gonna do at receiver? Do you think they're gonna? I had another one, but while we're on the draft,
Cooks is back. You got CD on one side, Cooks on the other, and Jalen Tolbert actually was getting more reps than Michael Gallup at the end of the year. So I think Tolbert moves into that 3 spot. They got another guy behind him who's also, I believe he's also. I want to get this wrong, man. I never bring notes to these things because I've been around so long. I think, but I think he's also Jalen Brooks, because Jonathan Brooks is the running back out of Texas. He's Jalen Brooks, another receiver that they've got, a young guy that they drafted that, he's going to move up the depth chart. So I don't see any urgent need at receiver. Brandon Cooks is an older guy, but man, he performed well. Yeah, he performed well. And
I thought Noah Brown was producing more than Gallup was. I like Noah Brown for well.
Gallup, Gallup had one good year and they paid him, and then he got hurt, and it was bad. It was bad. So he had to go. They're taking a little bit of dead cap on him, but I think the reason why you let him go is because you're high on Tolbert. So I'm not too.
Cap. They had to make some moves somewhere. Their option was to extend Dak and push some money forward and save money this year. There was no other way to save money.
Yep.
You're not going to save much by extending CD or Micah, because I've looked at Spot Track on the Cowboys way too many times because I work with a lot of Cowboys fans. And you know what? Like, a lot of people want to talk about it, and I live here, and I'm going to end up watching them. So, you know, I want to be educated on them like I am with the Packers.
Right.
So, but that's the only other way to free up money. So the problem with the Cowboys cap this year was, unless you extend Dak, you were going to have to let a bunch of guys go.
Yeah.
And then there wasn't a lot of guys to cut that were going to save money. It was pretty much Gallup, and there wasn't a lot of other options for them.
Yeah. I think they made the right move with Gallup. They tried to trade him. They tried to put him out there, but nobody really wanted him. You know, I know he got signed once they released him, but nobody wanted that salary, so they didn't want to trade.
Yeah. Med, what you got?
I'm debating on if it's a 3-parter or what, but I will start off with, I got kind of a one. What is your favorite NFL football moment of all time? And you go around.
Okay.
Man, that's
I was going to ask his favorite Cowboys. It's similar. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll ask in a minute.
Ooh, that's a good. I mean,
any NFL moment. Huh.
It's how about them Cowboys? It's the 93 NFC Championship in the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
San Francisco did not cover their field the night before. They had 5 or 6 days of torrential rain. They didn't put the tarp on the field because they wanted to slow down Irvin and Smith. And they came out. They were the big bad, guy on the end of the block that's bullying everybody. And we were the young upcoming team with the young Troy Aikman, young Emmett, young Jimmy Johnson, went into San Francisco and kicked their butt. The greatest moment was when San Francisco scored. It cut it to, believe they cut it to 5 or 6, and Dallas gets the ball, and something happened on the kickoff. They fumbled or something. They're inside their own 10-yard line, and what does Jimmy Johnson do? He throws a long bomb on first down, hits Alvin Harper for about 80 yards, and they punched it in with Emmett and walked away. And the famous "How about them Cowboys" speech followed that. That's probably my favorite moment. Even though, I will say Roger Staubach and those guys are my favorite players. That moment after those, that decade or longer dry spell was really a breakthrough moment for me as a fan. So that's probably my favorite moment. I just can't quit you, Cowboys agrees. He knows. I see you, brother.
To start the Super Bowl be his. That's a fun one.
Bear down.
Yeah. That's a good one. I like that one. Ooh. Ned, what's yours?
Oh, mine is it's not a Bears one, but mine is actually the Super Bowl when Manning almost got sacked in the Super Bowl in the David Tyree catch.
That was a great play.
That's actually
that's defining. It is.
Because I mean it was just history right there, and it was just an amazing play. I mean, there's just I'm a big, of course I'm a fan of Chicago Bears, but I'm a fan of football in general. So so my other question for you, you already kind of told me who your favorite Cowboy is of all time, which is Troy Aikman, I'm guessing.
Nope.
Roger. Okay, but we'll hit that.
Roger Staubach. Roger Staubach.
The captain.
Yes, sir.
He likes the fact I know all the nicknames.
I love it, man.
He is loving this. This is great. I'm enjoying this. This is fun to watch.
I mean, he's a captain because he was a captain.
Yeah.
He was in the Navy. Yes, sir.
Roger was awesome. He really was.
Yeah, think about a guy that goes 4 years after college, goes somewhere for 4 years and comes back and wins a couple Super Bowls. I mean, I don't know if anybody will ever do that again, right? No. I mean, that's just unheard of. So, yeah, that's my guy.
He wasn't. And the competition in the 70s was, you were playing some gauntlet. Like
they were playing Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Yep.
You had some. Yep.
They had probably 2 of the best Super Bowls of all time. So the last question I have. Yeah, the Dolphins 71-72.
Yeah.
So last question, 2-parter. Who is your favorite non-Cowboy player, and who is a player that you despise the most?
Anybody on the Eagles.
Okay, got that.
There you go.
Just pick one. No, I'm kidding. No, I don't. I mean, they put that on hold. So I'll think about that one. So, who's my favorite non-Cowboy player?
Mine is
Currently,
actually Barry Sanders, believe it or not.
yeah, currently, I would say Patrick Mahomes. Currently,
Mhm.
I got nothing but love for Patrick Mahomes and what he's doing, and a little bit disappointed in his breakdown against the referees in that game. But when you're highly competitive, man, you're highly competitive, and things don't go your way, that passion comes out. I got no problem with that. And how he responded to that.
Look at
was to
Kelsey
go-
with his coach. He was
Yeah.
livid.
Yeah,
But-
I mean that's
You wanna
passion.
see- I would rather see passion than apathy.
Yep.
I would rather have that.
Yeah.
You did
As
not
someone that
survive,
watched
but
Jay Cutler over there just chilling on the sideline, staring off into nothingness, I completely
bike.
understand that.
the bike. Oh, you gotta love it. He couldn't go on the field, but he's on that exercise bike. We know what we're
Yeah.
talking about. The 2011 NFC Conference Championship game.
Yep.
That was great.
That
Yeah.
sucked.
It was. I was mad for you because I was like,
Yeah.
"What is he not doing on the field?"
Yeah.
And
I agree with
Jay
Peter on
Cutler,
that
Jay
one.
Cutler is a whole topic. We could talk him for a while.
You don't
Yeah,
want
I just I can't necessarily think of anyone that I really strongly dislike that's ever played the game. It's when your team loses, you hate the other team for a short period of time.
Okay.
And things happen over the years, and you're like, man, that I use Peyton Manning for example. I lived in northern Indiana, and all I heard Peyton Manning was shoved down my throat for years, and I didn't like him. And now I look back on his career and I say, man, I'm a fan. I love what he did, and I love listening to him on Monday nights. If there's a game on Monday night that I don't like particularly to watch, it doesn't interest me, but I'm going to watch it anyways because I'm a football fan. I'm listening to the Mannings.
Yeah.
That way I go listen to crack me up a little bit. But yeah, division rivals, when they're successful, when Philly had Cunningham, or
I was gonna say
Washington had Theismann, the Giants had Eli. Yeah, I dislike those guys very, very much. Now, Joe Theismann, he retired. I said, man, he's a Notre Dame grad. I love Joe Theismann. Not when he was playing for the Skins, though. Not so
Right.
much.
No, I fully understand that. My wife asked me. She actually, this is how she drafted in fantasy football. She would draft on how they looked from behind. She basically would draft them on their bottom, and she picked literally 4 Packers, and it killed me. And she beat me in the championship. So,
Oh man,
so it was just like extra salt in the wound.
That's just because when the Bears play the Packers, all she sees is a Packer running down the field. And
That's
she
true.
sees
That's true.
I mean,
it is what it is. I mean, they're up like 42-10 again.
Yeah.
Yay!
yeah. Well, I know that feeling.
Man.
So
That's
yeah,
cool.
I got one question for Med.
Okay.
If we combined rosters, could we beat the Packers?
Oh.
Yes.
Okay, I was going to say no, but hey, all right. I like your optimism. I like his optimism.
Isaac is really thinking hard
I
about
know.
it right now.
It's
Yeah, we could
actually
beat you.
it's
Only
actually
reason why
debatable. It's debatable.
I don't think so, actually. But we'll see what happens after the draft. I mean,
Yeah,
Our
here's
we
my
defense
gotta
problem
is
with the
there.
Bears.
We just
Here's
need
my
an
problem with the
offense.
Bears.
Yeah.
Here's my problem with the Bears. Is Caleb Williams going to be able to go in and actually turn this around for the Bears, who have never been able
Not
to
the
do
first
this
year.
with the quarterback?
Yeah.
Because do they have the right quarterback coach? Like I've talked about it. Do they have the right veteran for him to sit behind? Are they going to build up that offensive line? DeAndre Swift was a good signing, but that might be good enough at running back. But they need a strong running game. I wasn't completely enamored with any of the guys they had. Me and Matt have talked about it. Probably Dante Foreman was my favorite running back they had. But I think it's going to come down to, does this guy have the right temperament, and are they going to put him in the best position for success? Because you could have all the talent in the world, but I don't know. That's my big question mark.
That's
think
what makes
they
this fun,
actually-
man. We go watch.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think they're actually taking cues about what they did not do with Justin Fields, and they're applying them now. I mean, they went out and they got Keenan Allen, who, if he stays healthy, is a coup by itself. DeAndre Swift as a running back. I don't think that it'll be successful year one, But year two, typically, like with Mozzie Smith for the Dallas Cowboys, players are going to be. It usually takes 2 or 3 years for them to really acclimate to the pro game.
I hope you're right on that.
Different. So I think he's going to do. Well, he has no choice but to do better. I mean, he played like 6 snaps. So.
Yeah. 6 very bad snaps.
Yeah, they were super memorable.
Yeah. 6 snaps with him on his backside. Your wife won't be drafting him in fantasy because you never see his butt. It's on the ground.
I like Peter's point. They have weapons, but Keenan Allen has been injury prone, and he is 32. I think they need another weapon. And as much as I like Hamed, he's solid. If they go land a Brock Bowers or Rome Odunze at 9 instead of tackle, that they probably should go tackle. But if they go weapon again, this is going to start to be a really good spot for any quarterback. Because then you got DJ Moore, you've got Keenan Allen, you've got whatever weapon they've got. You could run 2 tight ends if you get Brock Bowers. I think they should hit a weapon for them.
I honestly think they need to get another pass rusher opposite from Sweat. Go ahead and basically have 2 pass rushers on each side. So,
yeah. The only thing that scares me is throwing Williams out there too early, and I'm gonna already mentioned it. I'm a big Notre Dame fan, and if you want to, I would recommend not doing this. But if you want to see how he played against the Notre Dame defense, it was bad news. So I hope that they don't just load up on weapons. I hope they give him some protection, because when he didn't have protection and Notre Dame had a solid defense this year, he was running for his life and he was making mistakes. So I think they got to protect. He'll be all right if he gets protected, but if you just keep drafting and bringing in receivers and big play guys, then he's not going to have time to throw it to him.
I got 2 questions for you if they'll let me have 2 more.
Go for it.
Who is your favorite non-90s Cowboys player? Not Troy Aikman, because I knew it was Troy Aikman. I was just curious. Who was your favorite Cowboys player from the 1990s?
From the 90s. Well, I mean,
because he got a lot.
He looks like a Nate Newton guy.
Yeah, the kitchen.
Yeah,
the kitchen. Nate Newton. He was bigger than the refrigerator.
Yes, he was.
The coach, Jimmy Johnson, said, "We're going to call you the kitchen. You're bigger than the fridge." There was a guy on that team that started at defensive tackle that I was a big fan of. Chad Hennings. Chad Hennings, another one that played at an academy. He played at the Air Force Academy. And then he went on and served his country and came back, and he, got a tryout or got a test with the Cowboys, and they signed him, and he ended up playing in their Super Bowls and as a starting defensive lineman. And then my son has met him twice. My son is an Air Force Academy grad as well, and he's currently serving in the Air Force. And he's met Hennings twice, said he's an awesome guy. And the last time, and I did post a picture, and I could see if I could dig it back up and repost it. My son went to the bowl game, and I believe it was I believe they played in Dallas, I believe, or Austin, one of the two. And his wife, my daughter-in-law, they're from Austin. My son married a Cowboys family, so good, more suffering for the family. But so he got to meet Chad Hennings. So I was already a fan, and that just made me more of a fan. So kind of a guy that flew under the radar, if you remember. But he was a good, nice, solid player, and he's got a good story behind him. So if you're taking Troy away, and Emmitt Smith would be too easy of an answer, right? So I'm going to go a little bit deeper. I'm going to say Chad Hennings.
I like that answer. Very good answer. Okay. Who do you think? It's kind of a 2-parter, but I know we're coming up an hour and a half now, and you just did a show, so I don't want to keep you too late. Plus, we got a lot of stuff this week.
Yeah.
And I want to say thank you for coming on. I loved doing the Cowboy panel. We need to do this. I would love to hop on your show in Med, but I'd like to do this Cowboys chat every once in a while. I think it's a lot of fun. And but here's my other question. Who do you think is the biggest challenger to NFC? It's tough because I want to wait for the draft, but we can't, back the draft out. Who do you think is the biggest challenger in the NFC to the 49ers this year?
You want me to answer that, or you want Med to answer that? I'll let him go. Let him go first. Let him go first.
If everybody wants to go, and then Peter's got a fun one for us that I'll throw up after.
It's actually the Packers.
Yeah, you're probably going. No, I just don't.
No.
I don't
I don't
believe.
know. The defensive offensive lines are tough,
Yeah.
but it depends on what we.
I mean,
our defensive coordinator. That's what it's going to come down to.
I'm not worried about Detroit until Dan Campbell learns how to count. I think you'll be just fine because
Reg, that's funny.
It is what it is.
That's the truth, man. He's an ex-Cowboys tight end. He got hit in the head a lot. I know. I remember watching that.
His level of
I'll go through.
Players want to play for the guy, but his in-game decisions, man, are something. He does not stray from being aggressive. He'll be aggressive every time.
Dan Gamble. That's what he is.
My biggest question mark with him is Jared Goff, does he have another level? Because we just saw the best version of Jared Goff we've seen because he rode the coattails of that Rams team to a Super Bowl. You were riding hellacious defense and Todd Gurley at his best to that Super Bowl. And Todd Gurley, when he was healthy, was something. So you had a running game and a defense, and he rode their coattails to that Super Bowl. And then Bill Belichick proved his limitations with an effective that was just, if you like defense, that was a Super Bowl for you, 14-3. But other than that, I just wonder if Goff has another level to take the Lions higher. I question if he does. I think we just saw the best out of him, but it is a contract year for him. So there is that. Guys tend to play their best when they want to get paid.
Yeah,
so,
I think Packers going to win that division.
I hope so. I hope you're right.
I until Detroit does it, I don't believe it. That's the way it's going to be for me.
Here is Peter's question for us, and it's a fun one. Peter's having so much fun in the chat. I haven't been able to throw all of his comments up. Guys, I'm sorry. There's been so many comments in. Here's a fun one for everyone. Who's your favorite player? Any team that you've met? I'm going to be honest, guys. I'm a huge NFL guy, but I've actually never met a player live in person. I'm hoping this is kind of a dream doing the podcast. I'm hoping it continues to grow and we can eventually have a player or former player on. If we get to that point, that'd be sweet.
Yeah, I know the closest I can give it to you is I'm friends with Poona Ford's dad. Poona Ford is a defensive lineman out of Texas, and he just got picked up. He was in Buffalo last year. He got picked up by the Chargers. So he's going to be playing for Jimmy Harbaugh, and I'm friends with his dad. We text back and forth. His wife is a Cowboys fan, so we kind of have that in common. Nice. But he's a Hilton Head Island kid. Poona was Mr. Football in South Carolina. Man, you probably know all this. You're in Bluffton, so that's. I've got autographs from NFL players before. That doesn't really count. So I mean, just knowing a guy, the father of a player, I think, that's probably going to be my answer. Is probably better than just getting an autograph from one.
Matt, have you met any?
Not in that. Well, actually, yes. I played with two.
Wait, what?
Yeah, mic drop.
Well, it was in high school, and one of them is Greg Jones, who went down to Florida State, and he played for the Jacksonville Jaguars, was their all-pro fullback for a few years. And the other one was Donnell Washington, who went up to Clemson and actually played with the Packers.
Yeah. Nice.
Oh, I got one. Actually, I'm sorry. I worked as an aide at Saguaro High School in Arizona, and I didn't meet him. Like I saw him several times, never talked to him. I think I said hey to him once, but I didn't even know. So I worked with an autistic kid, and we were weightlifting. This was back from 2012 to 2016, and Christian Kirk played there for Saguaro High School, and he's with Jaguars now. But he played for the Cardinals after playing in high school in Arizona, and that school was ridiculous. They were winning high school championships left and right. So
well, Med, you inspired me. You kind of jogged my old memory here. Mm-hmm. I played high school football at Washington State, and
nice.
One of our opposing rival schools, Walla Walla, Washington, starting quarterback Drew Bledsoe.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, he torched us. So I never knew him, but I played against him. And the other one was Jason Hansen, who was a kicker for the Lions for
Oh, Jason Hansen. Yeah, he was
yeah,
awesome.
he was a kicker for Gonzaga Prep out of Spokane, Washington. We know Gonzaga, who is now a basketball powerhouse.
Mhm.
They also have a prep school right there next to their campus,
I've
and they
actually
had
met-
a powerhouse football team. I don't know if they still do or not. It's been a long
Oh,
time.
they do. They were a 6 seed this tournament. One of my
There you
best
go.
friends, I just talked to him on the phone. He went to Gonzaga, and I visited him up there. I've actually been on the campus. It's pretty cool. And my brother lives in Bellingham, Washington. So I've been up
okay.
there. Yeah,
So I played some ball against those two guys, but never knew them personally, and they were a lot better than me, obviously. So, but yeah, that's some
cool.
of these memories come back. Med got me there, got inspired me.
I got one more. I promise
Yeah,
it's quick.
go
Favorite NFL game you've been to in person? I've got a fun one that was random.
I've only
I'll
been
go
one,
last.
so.
Which one?
Last year, not this past season, but the season before, I went to Mercedes-Benz over in Atlanta. It was second year with Justin Fields, and I watched Cordell Patterson break the record on my Bears with kickoff return yards.
Yeah.
He scored a touchdown, and we were in the end zone. Like we had end zone seats, and so he was actually running towards me, and I was like, "Stop running! Stop!
Yeah.
Just go down, go out of bounds, stop running." But yeah, no, he broke the record on my team, and I was there to witness that. So history. Ooh.
Yeah, it's history. Cowboy,
I got two. I got one living in the Chicago area for 20 plus years, Northern Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a Bears-Packers game. It was a young Brett Favre, and Jim Harbaugh was quarterback for the Bears.
Hell yeah.
It was 21-14 Packers, and there was 3 pick sixes in that game. 3 pick sixes, and Harbaugh
like
threw.
Game.
I believe Harbaugh threw 1. I believe Favre threw 2, but they still won. I got to go back and look at that game. 92, 93, 94, somewhere around there. And then probably my all-time favorite memory was being 10-year-old kid in Washington, and my dad got us Cowboys Seahawks tickets and went up to the King Dome. I rode this fan bus where I was the only Cowboys fan on there. I'm like 10 years old, man. These drunk guys they're razzing me all the way up. I was wearing my Tony Dorsett jersey, and he's going down. You guys are gonna. It was 35-10 Cowboys, and I enjoyed every minute. And I really enjoyed the ride home on the bus. I really enjoyed the ride home.
That's pretty sweet. I went to the Packers game with my wife. It was it was shortly after we started dating. It was pretty cool. My wife now, and we flew up to Wisconsin. I got to see an aunt I hadn't seen in 20 years. That was really cool. And we went to the Packers-Rams game where Charles Woodson was inducted in the Hall of Fame, the Packer Hall of Fame. That was really cool. And we won the game, and there was a pick six in it, Stafford, and that was the year the Rams actually won the Super Bowl. But while that was special, and I think that means more because it was with my wife, when I was 20 or 21, my uncle woke me up. I lived in Arizona. He's like, "Hey, you want to go to the NFC Conference Championship game? $200." And I was like, yeah, done. Boom. And we went. That was the Kurt Warner, Donovan McNabb NFC Conference Championship.
Nice.
And since I'll probably never get to go to a Super Bowl unless, I win the lottery or, this podcast goes viral.
Yeah.
That's probably the closest I'll ever sniff the Super Bowl. So it was a really good game. Cardinals won, and then they got to the Super Bowl and almost won that Super Bowl. But that was
they should have.
That was the last one McNabb made, because it was like 08 or 09. That was that last conference championship him and Andy Reid went to. So
yeah, that was a shame that the Eagles didn't get in. That was a shame.
No, they were so close. I got a couple of comments on that. I'm gonna hit, and then if there's any last questions, but Peter said something cool, and Tim or Jason, Med and Cowboy. I think Mary's met him. I think you guys are both gonna love Jason. And I haven't met Peter in person yet. He seems like a lot of fun. Peter's comment. Time he met Peanut at his charity event, he literally welcomed everyone with, "Hi, I'm Charles." Yeah. And he said, "Thanks for coming." And then he got to talk to him. And then he asked me to pray with him. Very cool.
Cool.
Jason said Tim Harris, Packers defensive end from the late 80s.
Nice.
In his first NFL game, I went to one with Favre when I was young. I just don't remember it. I was like 6, 7. It's 94, 95. His first NFL game at Lambeau Field, the Packers beat the Lions, saw Barry Sanders.
Wow.
Been cool.
Nice.
That's legit. That is legit. And it looks like Janae got to meet Aaron Jones. He signed her jersey. She said he's very humble and respectful. His restaurant's awesome. So yeah,
Amazing.
Awesome.
do you guys have any? Before I want Cowboy you to talk about your show, but did anybody have any?
Wait.
Mary, what you got?
Can I answer those 2 questions? Because I didn't
Oh
answer them.
yeah, I'm sorry. Yes,
No, you're
yes.
fine.
No, I feel bad.
Unfortunately, no, you're fine. I just wanted to stop you before you did your closing because I know closing is going to take a while for me because we have a lot coming up on this week. So unfortunately, the closest person or player I met is Sammy Watkins. People do not know. I actually know his cousin personally. Yeah, it's a Florida connection. And I've never been to a football game in my life or spring training or training.
Really?
We gotta break that.
But I would have went to the Dolphins game with family tickets.
If you go to the NFL draft though next year, that might usurp the experience of a game because that's seems pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's on my bucket list too. We got to get out to the draft.
And it's in Green Bay.
Yeah, I'm going next year. That's the plan.
Nice.
I will say,
where is it? Where's next year at?
Green Bay, Lambeau Field.
Well, I know where I'm not going.
Yeah,
I wish, man. I'm broke. If I can find a way to afford it,
let's go, man. We're gonna crash this party. Come on.
Yeah, I'll get the old cheese grater hat and everything.
There we go. Let's go. We get our ticket right out of Savannah, brother. I'll pick you up on the way to the airport.
Hell yeah! Get some brats and some cheese.
Let's go.
Oh, man,
that reminds me.
Dairy is the best. I had the best a few years ago. I went. The cheese curds are amazing.
Yeah.
I found a spot I've got in a breakfast spot in downtown Green Bay that's across from Lambeau Field. It's not right there because downtown Green Bay is a little bit away from Lambeau Field. But no, heading up to Michigan, because that's where I'm from, is Upper Peninsula, Michigan. And we're heading up, and it was on the way out of Green Bay. It was 45 minutes to an hour out because Green Bay is not that big. You're out, you're done, you're gone. And there was this little, it was in the summer, and this little ice cream stand, and I had this green apple swirl, and it was the best ice cream I've ever had in my life. It was so good. That dairy, man, it's special. It really is.
Yeah.
You need a moment.
I
saw your eyes rolling in the back of your head.
I want that ice cream, man.
We always stop at Mars Cheese Castle when we're driving from Indiana up into Wisconsin for whatever reason. I went up there a few times. Got to go to Mars Cheese Castle, get some cheese curds. Good stuff.
Cheese Castle. All right. It's on my bucket list. I don't know next time I'm going to be up there. I'm writing that down.
And Reg, if you like barbecue, check out the Bearded Pig next time you're in Jacksonville.
Yes, I have not been there.
Yes, that is the spot.
I do like barbecue.
Dude.
Jim and Nick's in Bluffton is okay, but
y'all got to come to Texas then. I got barbecue here. I got a lot of barbecue spots.
Yeah,
I know.
You guys up.
But I like my daughter-in-law is from Austin, so in their wedding was out there in Austin, so I got some good Texas barbecue. It's a little different than the Southern barbecue, but it's good stuff. I like it.
Austin's got some unique stuff too. They're pretty well known for it.
Yep.
Mary, what's all your stuff? When do you go?
Oh, great! Of course you do me first. Great.
Cool.
I feel bad because your audience has heard it so many times now.
Oh, you're good.
So you can find us at Mac Podcast 365. We are keeping Mac and Cheese the name, as we finally discussed yesterday, I think. I don't know. Too many days blended in one.
I think it was yesterday. I don't know.
I don't know either. And you can find us on Twitter at Mac Podcast 2023. I think. I don't know. It's everywhere. Do you want me to announce the shows?
Sure. Yeah, we got a lot coming up this week. We really do.
I know we do.
I've got a show Tuesday.
Yeah.
Are you, Mary? You coming on that one?
I can.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I can.
We're doing. You're coming on Fridays too.
Yeah. So okay. You gotta be. I was literally about to say Fridays.
Sorry, good. You're good. You're right.
So as I mentioned, we are doing a pre-draft show on Friday night. Mac and Cheese is not going live on Friday because Isaac took Mac and Cheese slot / we didn't want to do one.
Isaac.
No, it's okay.
Panel, man. We're doing a big Packer panel, Cowboy Regg. It's gonna be fun.
And we are trying to get the legend Tom Grossi on. Speaking of Tom, Speaking
doubt
of
it,
Tom,
but, you know.
Speaking of Tom, he is coming on Mac and Cheese in July, the fan of the year.
What's up?
And urinating tree, that's where all the chaos started this morning. Because Isaac told me to add those another in our retweet group. So urinating tree is coming on 2 weeks after the draft as well.
2 weeks after? Nice. Very cool.
Oh.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Cowboy Regg, where can people find you? Tell us everything about where to find your show and everything you do, man.
Well, right now we're on a little hiatus. We just had a baby. My son and his wife just had a newborn baby. Thank you. So just a week and a half, 2 weeks old. So we've taken a couple weeks off the pod. But my primary focus is on my X account in writing for We Like Sports. Find me on X at Cowboy_Reg. That's REGG. Gotta have the double G. And then our podcast is Sons of Star Pod. We call it Sons of the Star, but of course, somebody else had that already domain, so we went Sons of Star Pod on Twitter. So that's where you can find me, mostly at Cowboy Reg, but that's our alternate page as well.
Okay.
Thank you for hopping on, man. This was
it was fun.
This was a blast.
Good time.
And I really enjoyed watching you and Med. You guys, that was really cool. And you're both South Carolina. There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we're neighbors. We're neighbors, man. You guys are in trouble. We started together.
I know, right? Like, one time I feel like I'm gonna like call Med for a show and be like, "You ready?" And then you're gonna be right there with him.
Tag Reg in.
We're gonna be locked and loaded next time.
Oh no!
All right. You better get a third person on your end.
I know, right? I'm gonna have to bring my wife on for support or my buddy Bill.
Right.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then Med, you want to share where to find shots and that, I've pitched it already like a lot recently. You want to talk about that 8-man mock?
Yeah, we got that. So my name is Med Smith. I am the host of Shots from the Sidelines. I have a co-host, Seth Foster, and basically we talk mostly football, but we try to add a little bit of other sports. We will be taking a hiatus in the summer, so if anyone wants to do some pre-recorded episodes with me, I'm wanting to do some top 15 quarterbacks, wide receivers, possibly moments in sports that. Just basically to get me through those 2 months, I'm going to be taking off because Lord knows I need it. You would also find me here on Podcast Boys Network. Also, this short show right here is kind of I joke about it and say it's Isaac and Amai's love child. so it's when the Blitz hits the fan. So you're going to find me here as well. And next Sunday, we will be having an 8-man podcast featuring 6 different shows. It's going to be live for the first round, possibly even 3 and 4, all the way to the third if Isaac's feeling it.
We tested this last night. We'll talk off the air in a minute.
It was
Sounds
fun.
good. But yeah, we're going to be doing that April 21st, 1 week before, well, practically a week before the draft at 4 p.m. Sunday, April 21st.
Right on.
And hopefully you hop on for our draft coverage, Med, and you can hop on for that Bears pick.
I was literally about to do that, Isaac. You fucking got it to me. Okay, whatever.
Covering the first round of the draft, me and Mary, and we're trying. I just talked to a Patriots fan, and we're gonna try to bring as many fans as we can on. I don't know how many will land. We got Packers, we got Bears. Peter's gonna hop on if Med's available.
I have work.
Cowboy, if
I'm
you
actually
were
going
available, I would
downtown.
love. I know.
Yeah.
He's like, he might hop on for a minute. Cowboy, if you would like to hop on for the Cowboys pick, that would be a blast.
Yeah, right. It's we're up in the air a little bit. Cowboys fan, really popular podcast. They're the three or four Canadian guys that do those funny
I've
reactions.
actually saw that video.
Yeah. So I've been in communication with them, man, and they're awesome. They're some guys that they're actually Canadian and they're in the Pacific Northwest. They're Cowboys fans. They're a riot. They're a riot.
I'll have to check it out.
And I don't know how they found me, but they found me and they asked me to come on for the draft. So I'm either going to be on day 1 or day 2, and they're doing their bookings now. So as soon as I find out, Isaac, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Because I want to be somewhere when that pick is made, so you can see my hilarious reaction or anger or whatever it might be.
Spencer Rattler. Rah!
Oh, I'm out.
Oh, Knicks. Oh, Knicks. What?
I'll be okay.
Knicks,
I'd be
Junior?
better off with Bo Nix. Yeah, I'm not taking the Rattler. No.
The
What
Rattler.
if they take a receiver? Woo,
Oh my God.
that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
What if they go
I-
running back? In
No,
my chaos,
well-
I went running back. I
Running
went running back for them just for chaos. They won't
back.
do it,
Chaos.
but I had to just for
I
fun.
mean, they need one, but they don't.
They
You know,
do.
you can get one in the second round. That'd be
Yeah.
crazy if they first
I
round.
wanted chaos,
I
so we
hope
got
they don't.
chaos last night.
Okay, so
Different.
on Tuesday I'm gonna have Cheesehead Weekly, Brian Rango, and Mary and possibly Jason on. And
Brian's my guy.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Mhm.
I've not gotten to collaborate with him yet, so I'm very excited
Oh my
because he
God.
just started his show, so it's gonna be a lot of
Oh,
fun.
yeah.
I'll tell you
I
what,
haven't met him
man.
in person yet.
I was on the show with him today, and about 45 minutes in, he wrapped it up, and we closed it out. And he goes, "I wanted to make sure you weren't late for the other Green Bay
Dude, that is
podcast."
so
So
cool. Man.
yeah,
I'm excited to meet him. He's gonna
he
be
Yeah.
had your back. He had your back.
I
That's
kicked
awesome.
off Brian's episode with his first podcast. I was his first podcast guest ever.
Awesome.
Nice.
And Med, if you're not doing shots, you're free to come. If you do shots,
That's right.
I'll do it after.
Join all
I
the
already have
Packer
scheduled
fans.
for,
We
like-
could call it Poke the Bear.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
that's what I'm calling Friday's episode. Packers and a bear. So on Friday night, Rev Trav can't join, but we're gonna have a huge Packer panel and Med, and I think we're gonna have a ball.
Huge Packer panel. And Meg.
And
And
man,
a bear. And a bear.
Isn't
I'm
Peter
excited.
joining too? Isn't
Huh?
Peter too? Peter, isn't he joining too on that one? You
If I
mentioned-
have a spot, yes. If he's listening, Peter, you are absolutely welcome. That one will be at 9 p.m. Eastern on
Okay.
Friday. So it's a Friday special because normally I don't go on Fridays, but I did the last couple because we're in, off season. I'm gonna do a hiatus like Med, but before that, I'm gonna do the first round coverage. And then I'm gonna go. I haven't told Med this yet. This is kind of cool. On Saturday from rounds 4 through 7, I'm gonna be going to see my buddy Bill, who is my normal co-host on Fun Football Podcast, and it's gonna be our first in-person show. We're gonna do a draft recap, and we'll hit if we're doing it live during the 4th round, we'll hit that pick too. But we'll recap the rounds 1 through 3. Yeah, we've never done a show in person, so I'm excited.
That's amazing.
My wife hopped on one of the shows. I've done, I don't know, 40 with Bill, probably 50.
That's amazing.
Our first one. So,
Wait,
and then I'm going to do a draft recap on Blitz, and then I'm going on hiatus too. So, if anybody wants to do any pre-records with me, yeah.
One quick moment, I forgot to say this. I am joining Podcast Boys now. We can officially pretty much announce this. Isaac did announce it today officially.
Yeah, I put it on Twitter
Yeah,
and
I saw
Facebook.
that. Also, you guys, Mac is streaming all 3 days of the draft.
Oh,
We're
wow.
gonna need help getting guests. It's gonna be, especially day 3 is gonna be super tired because Justin and I decided that we are going to pull 7 hours for you guys to cover the full draft.
That's going to be legit. Last 2 quick comments because we've kept Cowboy Regg and he's been on for 3 hours now almost.
Appreciate it, Ray.
Mason says we do appreciate it. We can call it Pack the Bear.
Pack the Bear.
We're not
All right,
packing any
Peter.
bears.
What's your really bad joke of the day? Hit
Go
it.
for it.
Do it. What you got? I'm curious what this is going to be. It's going to be about something about.
I hope you already typed it.
Oh no.
I don't know. Why can you only ran through
Wait.
campground?
Was that a mistype?
Did you mean run?
Yeah, probably run.
Oh
Oh,
wow.
I like that. Nice. That's a
Ah,
great
okay.
dad joke.
Oh man.
Peter, I
That's a
think
good
we're
dad
gonna have
joke.
fun. I think we're gonna have fun. That's a good dad joke.
Mhm.
That's a good dad joke.
Cowboy, thank you for doing a second show after doing another one.
Yeah.
Everybody, this
Yeah.
is When the Blitz Hits the Fan. I'm Isaac, host of Fun Football and co-host of Blitz, our love child with Med. And thank you everybody for watching. We got up to almost 100 and we got up to 112 people right now watching. So thank you for watching, guys.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Especially impromptu because I didn't put it up live until this morning. So anyways, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you, Cowboy, for joining. This was a lot of fun. And we will be back next Sunday with that 8-man mock draft. I think it's going to be at 6 p.m. Eastern, right, man? Is that what we said?
4 p.m.
Yeah,
4
he said 4 p.m. earlier.
4 p.m. Okay. All right, guys.
Trying to throw me off. What's wrong with you?
I honestly, dude, when I'm trying to remember all the times of my shows. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, to be fair, Isaac has a busy schedule this week. He said to
Oh, we both do.
I loaded it up.
I don't
All right,
know.
thanks. Thank you, everybody.
Peace out, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.